And this slide from Barkantin Group shows the difference between the different types of heparin treatments. With unfractionated heparin, the incidence can be high, and the risk to have the symptomatic antibodies is rather high. It is much lower with low molecular weight heparin, and it is discussed for fondaparinux. Even if few reports have shown antibodies, you know, on my side, I am not yet convinced that these antibodies are truly generated by fondaparinux. Now, we also had in the past a surprising experience. Normally, fondaparinux is totally unable to form the antigenic complex with PF4. But in some cases, you know, fondaparinux is a synthetic molecule. And fondaparinux can, in some cases and in some circumstances, polymerize. And if you have a polymerized fondaparinux, then you can maybe you can generate reactive complexes with PF4. But it is, you know, we must be very cautious in this. And even if some cases have been reported, you know, fondaparinux can be considered as a safe alternative to heparin, as is also orgarang. And you know that with orgarang you can have also some cross-reactivities with heparin. And here you see the iceberg model and the respective cross-reactivities with the different types of heparin. Now, which lessons can we remind for these heparin-dependent antibodies? So the first thing is that they are significant of body's immune response, which is heparin-mediated, but the target epitope is not on heparin, but on PF4, and in few cases on IL-8 or NAP2. They are pathogenic only if they are targeted to blood cells, mainly platelets and endothelium, and only if these blood cells expose heparin antigen complexes, and in the vast majority of cases this antigen is PF4. And the other point, it will introduce to the laboratory assays, it is that antibody and platelet activity assays do not correlate necessarily, because many of these antibodies are asymptomatic and then they are unable to activate platelets. So before the break, maybe 5 minutes more. And then we can make the break. Is at no, it is at 10. Okay, so we have still some time. So I just would like to show some data that we have available concerning the immunoreactivity of heparins, and why there is a so large difference between heparins for generating inducing heparin-dependent antibodies. And here we test heparins with different saccharide units for binding in presence of PF4, antibodies in normals, or in 3 patients with HIT. And you can see that the required heparin structure is between 14 and 16 saccharide units, oligosaccharide units, for generating the fully reactive immune complexes with PF4, whether the HIT patient test is. And when the heparin structure is below 8 or 6 oligosaccharide units, there is no binding, and pentasaccharide is here, and we can understand that there is, at this case, no binding. We did another study. We increased the concentration of heparin, and what was surprising also is that in these patients were reactive in some cases with oligosaccharides with a lower oligosaccharide sequence, when the heparin concentration was increased. And this was interesting because we applied this model to cross-reactivity with sodium nanoparoid or Garang. And you know that in most patients there is no cross-reactivity with sodium nanoparoid, but if you increase the amount, normally for generating the immune complex between heparin and PF4, you need to use 25 to 27 international units of heparin per milligram of PF4. And these are the conditions which allow the formation of the stoichiometric complex. If you use these conditions with sodium nanoparoid, so there is no binding of antibodies. But if you increase by 20-fold the concentration of sodium nanoparoid, which is a heterogeneous preparation, then you can generate again the reactive complexes. And this can explain because you can have some cross-reactivities in few patients. You know, you can generate some immunoreactive complexes, but the risk is much lower than with unfractionated heparin. And on this slide, we check the concentration, variable concentrations of sulfated polysaccharides for the binding of HEAT patients at a constant concentration of PF4, and we test the exact saccharide that we had. We test pentosan polysulfate, a low molecular weight heparin, and the standard unfractionated heparin. And you can see here that the peak is very sharp for unfractionated heparin, and for this concentration of PF4, it was, I think it was 0.5 units of heparin for 20 micrograms. We use 0.5 units of heparin, which corresponds to about 3.5 micrograms, and we have this sharp reactivity, and with lower or higher heparin concentrations, we have a rapid decrease of reactivity. With low molecular weight heparin, we have a similar pattern, but the optimal concentration range is wider than with unfractionated heparin. And surprisingly, with pentosan polysulfate, and you know that pentosan polysulfate is also able to induce heparin-dependent antibodies, you can see that the concentration range is still much broader than with heparin or low molecular weight heparin. And we see again that with the hexasaccharide, it corresponds to the formaldehyde. When we have a very high concentration of low molecular size heparins, or the same with sodium nanoparoid, we can also restore reactivity with immune complexes. So this slide shows the cross-reactivity of antibodies in a study from Newman and all in the Chang group in Australia. The reactivity of patients, but you know the respective reactivities can be variable according to the clinical context and the time of exposition to heparin. And you can see here that the reactivity to PF4 alone was observed only in 2 patients. To PF4 and heparin, it was observed in most of the patients with HEAT. PF4 and dalteparin, which is a low molecular weight heparin, it was also in almost all patients, but some became negative. With PF4 and enoxaparin, a similar pattern, and PF4 and sodium nanoparoid, you can see here this proportion of cross-reactivity. But if we increase the respective ratios of PF4 and nanoparoid, we can increase the proportion of reactive plasmas. These data were generated using an ELISA method, and PF4 as a capture antigen complexed with different heparin-like molecules, heparin, dalteparin, enoxaparin, or sodium nanoparoid. In terms of cross-reactivity, there is no difference between unfractionated heparin and low molecular weight heparins in most of the patients. in terms of immunogenicity, unfractionated heparin has a much higher immunogenicity risk than low molecular weight heparins.